Hey guys, what's going on? It's Friday, November 1st, and it's time for a little Jays talk. So, what I wanted to touch on today was the article that came out on MLB Trade Rumours about the 35 top trade candidates of the MLB offseason. And some of them, well, I should say, what I'd like to do is go over and say some of these are absolutely not going to happen, some that are maybes, and then some that I could really put some credibility into for the Blue Jays. So we'll go down the list and I'll just give my feedback on what I'm seeing. So number one, Garrett Crochet. I'll skip right over him because I think that's a no way, no how. Number two, Ryan Helsley. We get into some interesting trade targets right off the hop for the Blue Jays. So with Helsley, it says he's ARB eligible through 2025 and expected to make $6.9 million in 2025. So we all know about the Blue Jays' need for a back-end closer setup man, some assistance back there for Romano if we're retaining Romano. And I think Helsley fits the mold, and at $6.9 million, we'd still have enough salary room to work things around. Now, the reason why I think Helsley is an interesting trade target for us is not actually just him himself, but if I scroll down to number 10 on this list, it is, here, let's see, Nolan Arenado, who's guaranteed $74 million through 2027. So that's $32 million in 25, $27 million in 26, and $15 million in 27, with the Rockies paying $5 million up the 2025 salary. So what you're getting there is a $27 million Nolan Arenado in 25. And since the Cardinals are trying to shed some salary, what I could see happening is the Blue Jays being a team that could go after both Ryan Helsley and Nolan Arenado to try and get a deal done, and hopefully taking on all of Arenado's contract brings down the asking price on Ryan Helsley, and they both fit team needs. And now I know Arenado's taken a step back, but he's still better than anything we currently have at third base, and like I say, if it means that you can get the 2-for-1 deal there and kind of kill two birds with one stone, I think it's a move worth looking at least. So that's a very interesting move that I'll be keeping an eye out for. Hopefully there's some good rumors coming out soon with what Ross Atkins is planning on doing. Number 3, Eric Fedde from the Cardinals. I don't see anything happening there. Devin Williams from the Brewers is on a $10.5 million club option. So most likely the Brewers will try to move on from him. We saw them move on from Josh Hader before. They'll try to get cheaper at that position. Potentially, I see the Blue Jays in on him, but I don't. It's not one that feels very obvious. It's more of like if we've swung and missed on some other options throughout, through the free agency market and through the trade market, then maybe we'll circle back to Devin Williams. But I'd put him as a maybe at best. Yandy Diaz, no way. Number 6 is Jesus Luzardo. I would say no way. Pete Fairbanks is interesting, but I just don't see us making a trade with the Rays for him, and I'm not sure if we should trade with the Rays for one of their relievers, just because they have a way of making pitchers seem a lot better than they actually are. So I don't see a Pete Fairbanks deal happening. Number 8 is Josh Naylor, Canadian kid, left-handed power bat. He's in his last year of arbitration, making $12 million in 2025, or that's his projected salary, so it should be pretty close to that. These numbers are fairly accurate normally. With Manzardo, Fry, Noel, etc. on the Guardians, I should say, I can see them moving on from Naylor. $12 million is a lot for them, and he seems like a bit of a redundancy on their roster at this point when they have a cheap guy like Manzardo and also Fry and Noel. So I could definitely see him being attainable. He's not a super obvious fit for the Blue Jays, but we definitely need the power, and we could use a lefty slugger. So what I could see happening there is if you're able to get Naylor for a good price. I think he's only like a 1.5 WAR player, but he does have, I believe, 31 home runs this year. So he fits the mold and should be fairly easy to acquire if they want to. And what they could do is then flip Spencer Horwitz in a deal for relievers or whatever other depth you want to find, or a left fielder, etc. So he's one that I would put him above him maybe. I would say Naylor could be a real fit. Savali of the Brewers, $8 million. I don't see us going after him. So I'll skip by him. I don't see any chance. Number 10, I previously mentioned Nolan Arenado. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Blue Jays. There's different ways to structure that deal. Like I said, you can try and get a Helsley and pay his whole salary, or you can give them some prospects and hopefully get them to pay down a little bit of the salary. There's a lot of flexibility with the Arenado deal, I feel like, because the salary is so big. And that makes him an interesting piece to me to maybe package with another option. Number 11, Sonny Gray from the Cardinals. I don't see it. And you'll notice a trend here. The Cardinals are definitely listed as big-time sellers this offseason. Wilson Contreras, Cardinals. Guaranteed $59.5 million through 2027. I don't see them going that expensive on a catcher. He's a good hitter, but I just don't see them. We only have roughly $50 million to spend, so I don't see them going after a catcher. Jorge Soler is number 13. We all know he's already been moved. Ryan Presley at 14. $14 million feels like a lot. I don't see Ross going that way. 15, Christian Vasquez from the Twins, a catcher. I don't see that as being a fit. 16, Chris Paddock. No. 17, Luis Arias. He's an interesting one because I know everyone thinks Luis Arias is a very good hitter, and he is for average, but he doesn't really put up that high of an OPS or overall like what today's baseball is looking for. His 300 average is cool, but at $14.6 million, I don't feel like you're getting any surplus value there whatsoever because he can't play defense, he can't run, and he doesn't hit home runs. So I would not be surprised if they do tender him, that you could get him for very, very cheap in a trade, or if he's non-tendered, he would be an interesting free agent. I just feel like $14.6 million is very high for such a limited skill set, but mind you, I'm not in a front office, so anything could happen. If he's non-tendered, I could see the Blue Jays bringing him in, depending on what else happens, as a second baseman, a DH potentially, but he's not a clean fit, but I would say he's in the maybe category there. Yastrzemski from the Giants. I know he's dropped off a bit, but Yastrzemski does have a fairly good bat, and he plays outfield. So, we do have a need there. My thing is, if we're going down the path of Yastrzemski, either we've done a lot of dealing from our outfield, like Varsho got dealt, Springer got dealt, like something big has happened in the outfield. Otherwise, I don't see any way we're involved in him. David Bednar from the Pirates. $6.6 million is a lot for him. He may be non-tendered, but if he is, I believe we could probably get him for next to nothing because his production has fallen off a fair bit, and $6.6 million is a lot, especially for a team like the Pirates. So that's one that I would definitely put above a maybe. I could really see us being involved in the David Bednar market. And I don't think he would take a lot to get. So that's an interesting one as well, just for some bullpen depth. He's not a closer per se anymore, at least not on our team, in like a playoff contending team. But he's still a serviceable, high upside, back-end reliever. Brendan Donovan, another infielder / outfielder from the Cardinals. He's ARB eligible through 2027, so you get a little bit more control over a player like this, and he's only projected to make $3.6 million. So again, he's maybe a guy you could see paired with Nolan Arenado to sweeten the deal for the Cardinals, like to make sure they get more prospects back and can shed all of Arenado's salary. I could see him being paired with Arenado to the Blue Jays. I think I like the Helsley fit more, but he's in the maybe. Nolan Gorman, pretty much the exact same as Brendan Donovan to me. I could see him being tacked onto Arenado and getting a two, I won't say a 2-for-1, but a 2 for prospects type deal. Number 22, Wilyer Abreu, Red Sox. Super young. I don't see the Red Sox and the Blue Jays coming together for a deal for an outfielder that doesn't have more of a track record of being a power bat. I think I'm not that familiar with Wilyer Abreu, but I think he hits righties well. That's about all I know about him, other than, he's a young outfielder, but he's basically a non-factor in this for me. Leody Taveras, number 23, I won't bother. First baseman, Nathaniel Lowe from the Rangers, $10.7 million. I don't see them coming together for a deal for Nathaniel Lowe for a first baseman. Chas McCormick from the Astros, ARB eligible for 2 more years, $3.3 million in 25, and then you would get a raise on that in 26. Chas McCormick won't be a Blue Jay. 26, Brett Beatty from the Mets. I also don't see us lining up there, although I do like him as a lotto ticket, but he just doesn't fit our current roster construction. 27, Eugenio Suarez, $15 million club option. If the D-backs are open to trading him, $15 million for Eugenio Suarez is a very nice fit for the Blue Jays. He plays solid defense, and he's got like 40 home run potential when he's on. So Eugenio Suarez is one that I could really see us making a move on, especially with the D-backs financial situation. I don't know how much room they've got, and I know they do have some other re-signings and things like that to do. Plus, they need to try and figure out how to get rid of Jordan Montgomery if that's the path they want to go down. So you could see Suarez coming by himself or maybe as part of a deal with a Montgomery. I don't know if George Springer goes back in that deal, but there's something there. I like that fit. Lane Thomas, number 28 from the Guardians. ARB eligible for 1 more year at $8.3 million. I think, his star dimmed a bit this year. Like, I don't think he had a great performance minus the postseason. But that being said, again, the Guardians, they're always salary conscious. They don't have a lot of spending room, and they have other priorities, specifically with their pitching staff. So I could see Lane Thomas and Josh Naylor both going this offseason. If he was part of a deal and we're not giving up much for him, I could see the Blue Jays getting involved, but he doesn't fit an obvious need for us. Cedric Mullins is number 29. Don't see any way that happens. Ryan Mountcastle, if he always played as well for the Blue Jays as he does against the Blue Jays, I would be so in on getting him. ARB eligible through 2026, making $6.6 million this year. Unfortunately, he's just not a fit for our current roster. Like, we've got Vladdy at first base and we've got Spencer Horwitz there. So barring some big moves, I just don't see a fit. 31, Brent Rooker. I'm surprised he's down this far. The outfield / DH from the Athletics. Rooker is ARB eligible through 2027. 5.1 million projected in 25. So he is getting to that window where the A's typically look to sell off. Like, we've seen Chapman and Donaldson, Matt Olson, who was their catcher? I can't think of his name right now, but they got traded to the Braves. They do, Sean Murphy. So they do move on from guys at this price point, traditionally speaking. I'm not saying they're going to with Rooker, but he's had 2 phenomenal years. His trade value is likely at an all-time high, since he's still got 3 seasons of control and he's at basically peak performance. So I could definitely see us going down this path. Again, that would involve, I don't know who you send back to the A's. I'm not a trade expert, but I would imagine you're looking at Spencer Horwitz going, Jake Bloss going, maybe a Trey Savage going. Like, you're losing 3 or 4 guys that you really like. Elvis could very well be involved in that deal. Probably not all of those guys, but any of those guys could go, if that makes sense. So yeah, Brent Rooker is a name I'll definitely be keeping an eye on. 32, Cody Bellinger. I don't know if he's opted in yet or not, but I think he's got $27.5 million, it says here. So I believe he'll still be in on that, and he'll have a 2-year, $52 million deal, it looks like. So outfield, first base, he plays solid defense. He's a lefty bat. He fits the mold of what the Jays like. He plays good defense, lefty, power. He does seem to be very hot and cold, though. Like, he has 1 great season and then kind of falls off. So with that being said, I don't know what we'd be willing up to get him, but I can see the Jays at least kicking the tires on Cody Bellinger. The salary is a problem. $27.5 million is a lot for us to be spending on one player that we're not 100% convinced will fill a need, but it's a way I could see them going should some other options fall through. Okay, so Jordan Montgomery, number 33. I mentioned him with the Eugenio Suarez package. He's getting $22.5 million in 2025. And I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I would love to see Jordan Montgomery brought in exchange for George Springer. I know there would have to be some prospects or money exchanging hands there because Montgomery's a 1-year guy and Springer's a 2-year guy. But I think if we could free up that right field spot and get more production out of it, Jordan Montgomery will be better next year. He pitched to a 6.2 ERA or something like that this year. He missed out of spring training, and we've seen in our own team firsthand how big that is with Swanson and Romano. Probably some others in there too. Gosman, I think, had some issues. So we've seen how that can hinder pitchers. I would imagine his track record has been so steady leading up to this season that if he gets moved and settles in with his new club, he will go back to being a high 3, low 4 ERA starting pitcher that will probably pitch a full season for you. So I wouldn't mind bringing in Montgomery, like I say, in exchange for a contract like George Springer's, just to match up team needs a little bit better. 34, Luis Robert Jr. He's guaranteed $17 million in 25, $15 million salary. Oh wait, what's that say here? Guaranteed $17 million through 2025, $15 million salary in 2025, $20 million club option for 26 with a $2 million buyout. Okay, makes sense. And a $20 million club option for 27 with a $2 million buyout. So he's not cheap anymore, and he's been hurt a lot. I would guess his trade status has come down a fair bit, like his trade value. For that reason, I don't know that the White Sox move on from him this offseason. They may try to let him play the first half of the year and then flip him at the deadline to a team that's had an injury or whatever. Hopefully he can build that up and be, an all-star, and they can flip him with 2 years of control left. So I don't see him as being a realistic target this offseason. But if he is available, he is an intriguing fit. I don't know if he's ever played left field. I obviously know he's a center fielder, but if he's on the diamond with Dalton Varsho and that's your left field, center field lineup, that's pretty good. So if we could acquire him, I would definitely be all for it. I just don't know if it's any higher than a maybe. And now number 35 is Mr. Bo Bichette. Obviously, the Blue Jays can't acquire him. He's guaranteed $16.5 million in 2025. Teams, as it says here, teams are going to try to acquire him, but a trade here feels unlikelier than any other name on the list. To me, Bo Bichette doesn't make any sense to move. If the team is trying to win now, the only way this makes sense is if somebody comes up and just has a perfect swap for you where they can offer you, like say in the Dodgers instance, if they could offer you like a Gavin Lux with a young pitcher like Stone or somebody like that, like start to move pieces around where you're getting MLB talent that fits your roster in exchange. But that's just something off the top of my head. I really haven't thought about too many Bo Bichette trade packages. I don't see any way that Bichette moves. I think the only way he moves is at the deadline if we somehow fall on our faces and are equally bad in 2025 as we were in 24. Otherwise, I think he's a J and we ride him through the season and then try to get something done in the offseason or lose him to free agency for a compensatory pick. So that's all I've got for today. I just wanted to go over these 35 guys. 34, not counting Bo Bichette. And I'll do a quick recap here. So some of the guys that I saw that seem like real legitimate targets were Ryan Helsley. Where was number 10 here? Mr. Nolan Arenado. I would say Josh Naylor. And then David Bednar. And then you're kind of taking a step down from there to some of the Gormans and Beatties, Suarez. Like those are the less likely guys that I could see brought in. So yeah, there's some intriguing guys here for sure. They fit needs. I'm excited about a handful of them. My most realistic fit for the team is that Helsley and Arenado deal. If you could somehow package those guys together and make the money work, I see a big time deal there. And I think that both teams could get what they're trying to get out of the deal done. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye on. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of these 35 players. Do you see the Jays getting any of them? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks.